What's going on, Junkie Nation? Gorgeous George and Goes catching up with Chepe Mariscal, who's got a fight coming up against Ricardo Ramos. They're going to be at the Apex on March 1st. Chepe is riding a nice win streak here in the lightweight division, doing work 4 in a row since he's been in the UFC. Welcome, Chepe. Oh, by the way, he's in his garage, folks, but the car's not turned on. He knows better. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, man. Just getting ready for this fight in like 2 weeks.
Man, I'm a fan of yours. You always dig deep, especially at the end. You break fools. But the Apex, oh man, you should be on a numbered UFC in New York or in Vegas or in London, or you know what I'm saying? Like, it's time. You've graduated, you put in the work. Here's why I go to bat for you, because you remind me a lot of Carl Parisian. And Carl Parisian used to wow people with his ability to blend judo into mixed martial arts. Those amazing throws that would have Rogan losing his mind. His head was going to bust. How about you? Do you feel that same frustration?
Yeah, a little bit, but I feel like I have to obviously keep climbing, the ladder and on that showing as well. I look at it as like the UFC stacked with superstars right now, and I know I got to keep knocking on their door and hopefully get on those big pay-per-view cards.
Actually, I'm going to push back a little. I don't think they have many superstars. They're starting to retire or move on. And I think you have a chance. I'm not going to put you at superstar either, but I think you have a chance to be a star. You have a win streak. I see Ricardo Ramos as a step down, not a step up. I just want the best for every single fighter that we interview. I always give them my best. And so hopefully after this fight, the UFC can get some sort of a shakeup. You know what I'm saying? And we can start seeing you progress. You're slowly approaching rank status, and possibly now you get into title contender status.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the bigger picture, obviously got to rack up those wins and get the name out there and yeah, hopefully all the best, I'm doing everything I can. I'm getting the right research for like my cuts, for my training, for mental stuff, just trying to get ready for the game and for the future.
I don't know if Rogan's ever called any of your fights. Has anyone else ever connected the dots with you and Parisian or Rousey or just anyone else that ever really put judo, on that type of stage with those exciting throws?
No, and I think it's because I'm not in like those pay-per-view cards, I feel like, those kind of people like to look at the pay-per-view cards more than the Apex cards, and
Yeah.
and it's a way of like, all right now I'm making some noise at the Apex. I do love fighting there because I could hear my corner and hear my opponent's corner, but you know it would be nice to be on a bigger canvas and a bigger stage for sure.
For sure. So Mick Maynard, Sean Shelby, whoever it is that directs this young man's career, you already got a guy that's punched the clock. He beat Damon Jackson, and Damon Jackson just lost to Jim Miller. But look at the big surroundings that Jim Miller had, in his last fight. That's what we got to do, man. We got to reshuffle the deck. I'm looking out for my Latino brother here. Did you like the matchup of Ricardo Ramos? Like I said, I'm not shitting on the guy. He did win his last fight, but he lost 2 prior to that. So I just see you kind of like on a higher trajectory than he is right now.
Yeah, I just feel like I'm that gladiator that just takes, every fight, whoever I got to get through, but whatever their name is. And the thing is, I like different names. If I had to fight the same dudes, that's cool too. But I know there's some guys that beat me. They're a little ahead of me. But I know I got to get up to those rankings, start beating these guys, start getting a lot more finishes, because I feel like the UFC loves the finish business, in those fights. So it's like, all right, like, I'm puzzling it all together, and just, I feel like I'm gonna shine at the right time.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Are you still training out in Denver, Colorado?
Yeah, yes, I am.
Okay. And as far as like you come down to Vegas, and I know you guys always get asked about altitude and all that, but what about any other things? Like sometimes I used to hear the dry desert heat was something other fighters needed to get used to. Do you feel that as well?
Yeah, for sure. I felt even my last cut, we kind of tried to do it outside, and it was way too dry, way too hot, way like I couldn't, I didn't expect it, like I was like, wow, this is you definitely have to get used to it. And I felt like I was kind of running inside, of all these AC buildings. But yeah, I feel like you have to obviously get used to it. But we during fight week, you kind of readjust, and I'm just always ready when it's showtime.
Yeah, and just to specify for the MMA fans that are listening here, I know we're in the winter, so I probably shouldn't have said heat, but let me tell you, it's still dry in the desert during the cold months. That's why I got this ashy skin. People ask me if I'm a baker when I'm out and I'm not wearing long sleeve. But all right, Chepe Mariscal is our guest here. He's fighting Ricardo Ramos. He's a guest of ours here on Junkie Radio. Goes! What do you have for Chepe Mariscal?
Cheba, so we're in a different era now where it's so easy to just kind of look up things on your opponent, go on social media and just see what was he doing today? Was he at the gym? Was he eating too much? Do you ever do that? Do you ever, I guess, maybe cyber stalk and kind of check your opponent out, see what they're up to on social media?
Honestly, I don't, dude. Like, it's crazy because a lot of people say like, your film work and stuff like that, but it's more of a listening thing for me. So like I get it. Like, okay, if I feel like if I watch film, I feel like I'm gonna let him do a couple things because my competitive edge will try to test those things. So I feel like I just want to go in there, apply my style, get my win, and get out of there. I don't want to like say he's better than me at anything. It's about like it's that day who's gonna show up and who's gonna show out.
When do you start getting data on your opponent? And what I mean by that is the first time you run into him at the hotel, the elevator, the stare down, do you ever get any information just off of those interactions? He's a lot bigger than I thought he was, or he looked kind of scared when he looked into my eyes. You ever do any of that?
Yeah, for sure. And the thing is, like, I kind of like I hear about like his height, his weight, his arm, like his reach. I kind of try to get him as a specific training partners, like about his size, his lankiness. He's a jiu-jitsu guy. So I've been doing a lot of jiu-jitsu with lanky guys, and then I got guys throwing spins at me because he throws spins, like, so it's like, cutting it down like that. And then when you kind of meet the guy, it's not as like, oh, he's taller than me, or he's I don't know, he looks better, has a better haircut than I do. Like, I don't really like kind of like tone it down like that. It's like, okay, like I I see exactly the animal that I have to go and destroy, and get a get a win and get out of there.
You guys might think I'm crazy, and I don't remember the exact fighter, but I want to say it was either King Mo or Rashad Evans once told us he would purposely try and fist bump his opponent when he sees him just to kind of gauge that length on the arms. And that
Yeah.
was just like a little trick that, people never really think of, but he was like, that would kind of give me a good indication of what I needed to do to get inside. But anyway, okay, I want to ask you, things are going great for you right now, right? What's one thing that you can point to where you could say this would be an improvement for this year as opposed to last year? And whether that's, physically, mentally, or even something that the matchmakers can bring to your attention. What's one thing you think?
uh just more the mental stuff, like I feel like it was different when it was the other arenas, and now you're in the UFC, millions of people are watching. So I felt like I was growing like into character for the fight game, who I want to be in the cage and who I want to be outside of the cage. So I feel like those are the things that I kind of really look at, and be ready for like the fame and the glory and everything else. That's gets intimidating. I come from like a quiet area. I'm not a big talker. My fighting does the talking. So it's just a little different. And now it's building the more confidence of me just going out there, performing, and obviously get going for the win, and moving on.
You have a Latino last name. Where does your family come from? Your ancestors?
They're from Jalisco. Guadalajara.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And is judo big? Like, is that judo because of your generation, or did it come from the generations of your parents, uncles, or anything like that? And
Nah,
even
like
further so, Mexico.
nah, it was all me training at a gym 2 blocks away from my house in Cicero, Illinois.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was just I think what I get from the my people is the grit, like I'll do anything to win. I'll leave it all out there. Win or lose, I'm all about the game. I'm not a hater. If you beat me, I'm all about the game. About the sport, good sportsmanship. But obviously I want to be one of the most violent fighters out there.
Oh, we've seen it. Now let me ask you about. I was just thinking about this. They were just in Australia. You were on an Australia card, if I recall.
Yes.
Um, is there an advantage, I guess, since I already crapped on the Apex a little? Is there an advantage in there? Less flight time, and maybe you go home with more money? Because I know a lot of the fighters don't like getting the taxations of a foreign country. So is there that type of advantage that maybe offsets the fact that maybe you're not in front of a bigger audience?
Well, like I kind of like it because like it's like Street Fighter. You're kind of flying all over the place and fighting these opponents. So I do like it. I like getting booed. I like shutting up a whole arena. Like all that stuff is awesome. Obviously the pay is good if I'm traveling across the world for it. And there's obviously um a good chance I could get a bonus. Performance of the night, knockout of the night, fight of the night. And the UFC tells you too, like their employees are great at giving you the right paperwork to fill out before you do your taxes. So I've been on top of that. My wife's an accountant, so she's on top of that all the time. And like
There
we're
you
not
go.
trying to be too crazy on the paying the taxes, but that's why even I like fighting at the Apex because it's tax free. And it's I'm learning more about those taxes stuff, but yeah, like me, it doesn't matter where I fight. It's about giving me the right time, like the amount of time. Like all my fights is the fifth fight. That it's not a full fight camp, which is cool. It's all right, but obviously when it gets to those ranked guys, I want to fight dudes that are gonna give me a full fight camp, a full. Some guys got 2 months or a month. I mean a month and a half. I get like at least a good month, but good thing I'm ready. But yeah, man, just trying to get that respect and those wins to put me in the right position for me to go out there and shine and be Chepe Mariscal.
You're starting to sound like your homeboy Justin Gaethje. He does not like taking a fight that he doesn't have like that 2-3 month window to prepare for, and that's what a proper prize fighter, how they should think. I think when you're young, maybe okay, one or twice, you fill in or you do something as you're making your way through, but as you start to establish yourself, these camps are important, and just mentally preparing yourself for a certain date on the calendar is the right way to go.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, last one. I know you said, hey, you're kind of a quiet guy, you go about your business, but when they did tell you March 1st in Vegas, knowing full well that at the end of March they were going to Mexico, were you a little bummed out? Would you have wanted to be on the Mexican card?
Yeah, man, I would love to be on those big cards, but you can't kind of like I'm in that kind of situation. Well, I'm always been in that situation where I can never say no to a fight. And I'm even having my baby's gonna be born March 12th. So like right after my fight, I got a flight right back home just in case, my fight, um makes my lady go to birth. But like I'm just trying to like have things kind of settled and ready, just like every other thing, like for these fights, like being ready, being shape. I have my fight camp, my lady has her own fight camp. So it was like when we talked about it, they were like March 1st. I looked at my lady, I was like, I already said yes. And she's like, yeah, I already know. Like we about this lifestyle, and we're gonna do it the right way, and no matter what, we're in it.
I was going to ask you when you brought her up about being an accountant, but is she still fighting? But she is, huh?
The what's it again?
when you brought up your wife being an accountant, I was going to ask you, oh, is she still fighting? But it sounds like she still is as well.
No, she's pregnant, so our baby's due March
Right.
12th. So like I
Yep.
say, that's like mentally that we call it like
Got
a
it.
fight camp for her. You know, like she's got to get ready to for the date. Get all the car stuff ready, the baby bag ready. So while she's doing that, I'm doing the same thing a little bit.
Right.
But obviously training, getting my hours in the gym, and getting ready.
Have you already built the nursery?
Yeah, man, we've done all the nesting. I've done all the baby classes, 3-hour baby classes.
3 hours.
Yeah,
That's how long they are?
yeah, man, 3 hours. So it's like, but it keeps us informed. Like there was a lot of I have a 11-year-old son, and I didn't have those kind of things when he was born, and now I feel like, man, I wish I had this 11 years ago. But right now it's like, man, I'm getting more informed, learning more things about, like, being there, being a partner, being a support system, and obviously getting my own stuff done.
And lastly, when she's had the baby, or maybe I'm wrong, but will she go back to fighting? I think she's a fighter, right? She's an MMA
She's
fighter.
a fighter. Yeah.
Will she go back, or has she retired?
Oh yeah, no, she'll go back. She's been itching, like she's been doing mitts, even fully pregnant. She's still doing mitts. She was at the gym with me this morning. Like, she's trying to get her body ready for after pregnancy, and then, she wants to get back on the road for sure.
There you go. That's a fighter right there. All right, man. Well, listen, congrats on your upcoming birth of you said daughter, right?
Yeah. My daughter. Thank you.
Congrats on that, first of all, most importantly. And then I hope you have a safe camp the rest of the way. And then for Ricardo Ramos, go out there and do your thing. And sounds like 2025 is going to be a big year for you and your family. So we congratulate you on that. And we'll talk to you soon.
For sure. Sounds good. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Take care, Chepe.